Hello and welcome to my YouTube channel. If you're regular here, you know that I review many photographic, audio and video related products. Well, a few months ago you might recall, and I'll put a link up here somewhere, where I reviewed the Apple M1 Mac Mini, and it's actually, here it is. And I just thought I'd do a fairly brief, hopefully really brief update on how I'm getting on with the M1 Mac Mini and what do I think of it. In a nutshell, I love it. I love all my Macs. I've got two 27-inch iMacs, one over there, a 20-inch iMac over there. Behind me, I've got me 15-inch MacBook Pro, blah, 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 blah. And I've got the M1 the M1 MacBook here, which is, you know, fantastic little portable Mac. In fact, it's the same power, same M1 chip, apparently, in this MacBook Pro as it is in the Mac Mini. So how am I getting on with them? Well, in general, I'm getting on fantastic, but there's only one or two niggling things, and that is mainly plugins for Final Cut Pro. There's still several plugins that I used to use that don't work with the M1 silicon chip. Now, the regular software that I'm using all the time, such as Capture One, now this is really snappy with the M1 chip, works, absolutely works a treat. Not have any issues with Capture One. It isn't an Apple program, obviously it's made by Phase. That works a treat. Lightroom, if we go into Lightroom, they've configured that now to work with M1 silicon, and I'm running a screen recording software in the background as well. So, you know, no complaints with how snappy vast majority of the software is with the M1 chip. I've come across very, very few crashes. It hardly ever does crash. Once in a while, once in a blue moon, it will crash for some unknown reason. But that's two bits of software. I'm running me email program in the background there, but really fast and snappy. So, you know, if you're looking for a computer that can do photo editing, video editing, the M1 silicon chip is great for it. And they're very, very good value for money. Now, I've just got the basic 8 gig model here. I didn't go for the 16 gig of RAM. This is basically 8 gig of RAM. So, you know, it's, yeah, 8 gig of RAM. So you would think, or I thought, that 8 gig of RAM wouldn't be anywhere near enough for the work that I do with video editing, photo editing, but it is, and it's absolutely top dollar. Works a treat. I've got, as I said, I've got no complaints with it whatsoever. If we go into Final Cut Pro, it's fast, it's snappy. Of course, Final Cut Pro is an Apple product, so you would kind of expect Final Cut Pro to be configured for the M1 chip because it's made by Apple, so there's no logical reason why that shouldn't be. Now, there's always going to be a debate, and I don't think it's ever going to go away, Apple versus PC, which is best. I personally don't see that as being a debate. I love Apple, I love Macs, I won't use PCs, I find them a right ball ache. But, you know, other people would say the same about Macs, so, you know, there you go. But, you know, as you can see, very, very fast, very snappy. The timeline loads, you know, nicely. This spinning wheel, by the way, is because of the external drives that I've got plugged into the Mac. But, you know, the timeline works really smooth. It'll load all the different projects that I've got without any, without any speed issues whatsoever. I don't know. That's in best quality as well. If you run it in proxy, it's even faster. So, and it will handle multicam edits. If we look at this was done multicam, so let's have a look at how many angles did I have on that one. As I said earlier, the only issue I'm having, certain plugins don't work. And it is a little frustrating that you go to, you know, put a plug-in on and it just doesn't work. And it does seem that some of these developers either have got no intention of supporting M1 silicon, or they just haven't got the resources for developing the plugins for the M1 silicon. The other issue I did have when I first got it was enabling the Mac to write to NTFS-C formatted cards, which is basically the Windows format. See, now when I produce stuff for clients, and I know that they're going to be using it on a PC, I always format my USB sticks or hard drives as NTFS, so that the client can read it on a PC or read it on a Mac. I did have issues with NTFS. There is a company called Paragon. I think it's owned by Microsoft now, because it's called Microsoft Paragon NTFS, and I had a real problem installing that on the M1 silicon. I did do it and it's working fine now, but I did have an issue then when it first came out. So whether that issue is still about with installing Microsoft Paragon NTFS, I don't know, but that was one issue. The other issue I had was the lack of ports on the back of the Mac Mini. That's a pretty, you know, it is the same even with the MacBook Pro. With the MacBook Pro, there is only the two USB-C ports on the side of the camera, where you can't see that there, but there we go. There is only two ports on the side of that MacBook Pro. That's frustrating, but you know, you have to plug in dongles and this, that, and t'other, and that can be, you know, rather annoying, to say the least. But that was the other issue. What I've done, you might be able to see using this camera here. You might be able to see there that I've got a hub at the bottom here, and that's got various ports on the front here. So I've got me SD card reader and three USB 3 ports and a USB-C port on the front here, and that just plugs into the back of one of the USB-C ports on the back of the Mac Mini. Now admittedly that's an extra, you know, that's an extra thing you've got to buy. That was 70 quid, but it still represents fantastic value for money, what you can do with the M1 Mac Mini and the M1 MacBook Pro. And they are releasing new models there all the time, but as I said, there was always a concern, 8 gig of RAM, is that going to be enough? And it is. You know, I'm doing a lot of multitasking here, and it's not crashing, it's not, you know, it's not coughing, it's just working. Heaven knows how they've done it, but, you know, just absolutely works. So, yeah, I'm a big proponent of Macs. The other thing that I love about the Apple Mac ecosystem is the App Store. Now, I'm a massive fan of the App Store, and it doesn't seem to be promoted a great deal. And the reason why I'm a massive fan of it, when you buy a bit of software, let's say Final Cut Pro 10 as an example, although there's many examples with software that I use, but we use that one as an example. Now, I buy it once, it's 300 quid, so I've bought that once, but because I've bought it through the Apple App Store, I can install that on all my Macs, which I have done. There's no limit. There doesn't appear to be a limit. Maybe there is. I certainly haven't reached it, and I've got many Macs. Must be 10, 12 Macs that I've installed Final Cut Pro on. Isn't that fantastic? There's none of this licensing issue where it only works on 2 computers like you have with Lightroom, Capture One, and, you know, most other software. Once you've bought it through the App Store, I've got DVD authoring software, all sorts of stuff I've bought through the App Store. So that's one big advantage with Macs. You buy it through the App Store, you install it on all your computers, and I think that's exactly right. I think that's totally fair and totally correct. If you bought it yourself and you're using it on your own computers, then surely you have a right to be able to install it on how many computers that you want. That's my belief, and Apple obviously believe the same thing. So that's one advantage. The second advantage, if your system crashes and you haven't got a time machine backup, that's another great advantage with Macs, is the time machine backup. You can just reinstall that on a new Mac or on the same Mac, and you get exactly the same as it was before. You know, it's a carbon copy effectively. So Time Machine is brilliant. But the other thing is, if you haven't got Time Machine, you just go to your App Store and, you know, sign in with your username and password, and then download it again. So they're always there. you never have to be looking for discs and looking for USB sticks with your software on. So, you know, that's another big reason why I'm a big fan of the Apple ecosystem. And, you know, as I say, the M1 Mac is great, but it is lacking ports. So that's why I've got this hub on the front here. And there are certain plugins that still don't work on the M1 Mac. But I still highly recommend that if you're into content creation, audio production, photography, anything along those lines, then these are a great investment. Whether it be the laptop, although it is only a 13-inch screen, that is a bit limiting. You can plug an external screen in, by the way, but having only a 13-inch screen on the MacBook Pro is, that's a better monitor to look at there, it is a wee bit limiting, but nevertheless, they're great computers. I haven't regretted buying the new M1s at all. Absolutely not at all. So there we go. Hope you found that useful. Out of idle interest, some people, well, most people do ask me what kit do I use for producing my YouTube videos, and it's a combination, but predominantly Sony. But my close-up camera there today is my GH5 Mark II with the Panasonic 12-35 lens on, and I've got a ZV-1 over there getting a wide-angle shot. I love the ZV-1s. Many people would know that know me. I've got an A7C over there filming that wide-angle shot, which has taken the audio in with me Hollyland Lark 150 wireless microphones. I've got another ZV-1 just here. There we are, just filming those cutaway shots there. And I'm playing around with my Insta360 1R 1-inch edition, just getting possibly some shots over there. So there we go. Hope you found that useful. Please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already done so. Really, really appreciate that. And hit the like button if you like the content of this particular video. That always helps me grow the channel. Really, really appreciate that. And leave comments in the description below, certainly regarding Mac versus PC. And it does create a lot of controversy. I mean, so many people are passionate about their PCs, which is great if that's what you love using. Likewise, there's so many people passionate about their Macs, such as me, you know. So there we go. Thanks very much for watching. Stay tuned for more videos relating to audio, video and photography, and hit the like button if you haven't already done so, and please subscribe. Thanks very much. Cheers for now. Bye.